Hello and welcome everyone. This is a series called Courageous Conversations Over Coffee, and it's sponsored by the South Coast Interfaith Council. And through this series, we hope to bring you a glimpse into the lives of people who are, in my opinion, truly courageous because we're meeting the challenges of the current situation. And oftentimes we observe that happens with courage, creativity, grace, generosity, and hope. My name's Marietta Fong. I'm a member of the board to the Rolling Hills United Methodist Church here in the South Bay, Los Angeles area. And during this census, it's been really great to hear from so many different people, to learn about some of the challenges that we're facing, and to find some inspiration in these conversations. So today, we're going to hear from 3 youth from the Buddhist, Muslim, and Jewish communities. But first, we'll have a few tips from Cheryl, the office administrator of the council, about conducting a successful conversation in Zoom. So while she's pulling that up, I'll tell you that Anaiyah is with us. She's 14. She's turning 15 in October, and she's from the SGI Buddhist community and one of their youth leaders. Hi, Anaiyah.
Hello.
And then we have Farah, who just graduated from high school. Congratulations. And she's a member of the Muslim community. Say hey, Farah.
Hi.
And Sam is from the Jewish community, and he's a member of our board of directors. And he'll be turning, I hear, 21 in October, right, Sam?
Yes.
Hey, Sam.
All right. So today we're Zooming, and so we're going to keep everybody except for Marietta and our 3 panelists on mute. And if you have any questions that you're dying to ask, just put them in the chat to Marietta, and she'll be monitoring that throughout the session. Or you can also raise your hand. That's if you go to the participants down at the bottom, there's a raise your hand button. And so today we are recording, and we're going to be recording in speaker view. So the people that are speaking will be on the screen most of the time, but how Zoom works is it puts little side pictures on the side. So if you're concerned with how you're looking for today's recording, then it's best to put a light on in front of you and have no light behind you. And then we're still learning, and we're not technical Zoom experts, so be patient with us. And that's it for our guidelines.
Thank you, Cheryl. So the program will be about 45 minutes long, or a bit more. And first we'll have some conversation with our guests, and then, as Cheryl mentioned, we'll have a Q&A section near the end, so you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions. Just send those to me via the chat box at the bottom of your screen. You can choose to chat to everyone, or you can choose to chat just to the host, Marietta, so that I can ask the questions, or raise your hand. So let's get started. Let's start by asking each one of you, if you don't mind, just give us, once again, your name, where you are, and where you are involved in school, and then maybe, if you want to, what you're planning for next year. Okay, Sam, can we start with you?
So I am Sam Schulman, representing the Jewish faith, and I currently am enrolled at Long Beach City College, and I'm planning to take the fall semester off because I don't really care for the online format. And I plan on transferring to Humboldt State in the spring, and I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Okay, Anaiyah, can you tell us where you are and what you're planning to do?
My name's Anaiyah. I'm 14, turning 15 in October. I'm part of the SGI Buddhist faith in Long Beach, and I just want to make it through next year.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And then Farah,
My name's Farah. I'm 17.
say hello and tell us.
Sorry. Hi. My name's Farah. I'm 17 and I'm turning 18 in August. I just graduated from Cleveland Humanities Magnet, and next year I plan to go to Santa Monica College for 2 years and then transfer to Berkeley.
Wow. Thank you. Sam, you have your hand up. Or are you just saying hi?
So I was giving her a round of applause for graduating.
Yeah, that's super. Well, let's start out with a question that I thought might be interesting for people to understand. What was an average day like for you before the pandemic and everything that's going on now? And how has that changed for you? Sam, would you want to tell us what you think about that?
I was taking a few classes at LBCC, so I was spending a lot of time with school. I was spending time with family and friends, of course. And I just recently started jujitsu classes. And so I was spending a lot of my time with that evening. And obviously I can't really do that much anymore, but that was the typical day for me.
And what's it like now?
Now it's just spending time with family, trying to stay on top of my summer classes that I'm taking right now, and just trying to keep myself and my family safe and those around me, of course.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Farah, did you want to share a little bit about what your typical day was like and how that might have changed now?
Sure. So basically, the average day before quarantine and stuff like that, the pandemic, it was just like I go to school, I come home, I went to work, I worked at Baskin Robbins, and I would do like schoolwork, maybe hang out with my friends, and I was like a part of some like out of school extracurriculars that I would do, like this program called Youth in Government. But that was basically it. But then like how it's changed, well, after the pandemic started, school wasn't really a priority anymore because I mean it's online. It was practically a joke. And so I didn't have to focus as much on that. I could focus on more things like myself, my family. I started to go to a lot of like, okay, I know this probably isn't good, but like towards more recently, I started to go to a lot of protests and things like that. And so that's been a part of my weekly routine, I guess, going to a protest. But that's about it. I've been painting a lot. I don't know.
Wow. Well, we'll ask a little bit more about that experience with the protest as we get farther into the conversation, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's let Anaiyah tell us a little bit about what her day used to be like and what she's involved in now, how things have changed. Anaiyah?
Well, before the pandemic, it was mostly just school, homework, same thing every day. And then after, it was when we started online classes, it didn't really matter as much towards our grades. So I didn't focus on that as much and just kind of lounged around all day. But then it came to the point where our online school stuff actually started to matter. And at that point, I started stressing because I didn't know whether or not I could finish my work on time. And so I just finished last week. And so it was really stressful. And I was mostly taking like 10 hours for one class. And it went on like that for about a week. But now I'm just kind of lounging around.
Sounds like you've gotten it a little bit more under control after that time of sort of panic and stress.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask all of you, each one of you, what is your major stress or worry right now? You know, what keeps you up at night and what fills the conversations with your friends? If there's anything that's really causing you some angst or some issues or tensions. Who wants to chime in on that one?
I could start, I guess. So as some of you might know, my mom just beat breast cancer, and she got her port taken out. So it was like the last sort of hurrah, the last thing that she had to deal with. And so my whole thing is just trying to make sure that she's safe and that she's healthy, because I know she's a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more at risk. So just trying to take those precautions to make sure that I'm, keeping her health is my first priority right now.
Oh, Sam, we are all rooting for your mom. Wow. And it's wonderful that she has you there to be with her through all this. Seriously.
Thank you. And she says hello, and she's sending lots of love to you guys.
Oh, super. Anaiyah or Farah, would you want to share anything about what's been stressful or tense or challenging for you?
Want to go for it, Anaiyah?
Yeah, go for it, Farah.
Well, for me, it's really things that are stressing me out. It's more like the world around us that's stressing us out. Like, especially now, like, okay, I know I'm gonna talk about the protests a lot. I'm really sorry, but like, I don't know. It just seems like a big thing to me right now, and like, just all the stuff that's surfacing up right now, and just the amount of people that don't care. That's what stresses me out. Like the people just like sit and watch. And I'm just like, how can you just sit there and not do anything, like, or just not even like just act like it doesn't happen or ignore it completely? I don't know. That stresses me out, and I try to make my impact, make my change, but like there's only so much one person can do. So
Yeah, I think that reminds me of one of the daily inspirations that Anaiyah gave us, where she said, if you think that one person is too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito, which makes you kind of laugh. And that was a quote, I think, from the Dalai Lama. But change starts in small ways often, doesn't it? So I have to say, we're proud of you for everything that you're doing. But the fact that it really bothers you and keeps you up at night, that is really significant, Yeah. So I think I had something in the chat box about Farah. Farah,
yeah.
did you want to share something with us, Farah, about
Oh, sorry, I don't know. Share something about what?
Oh, well, I guess I was asking how you feel about the racial tensions and issues that we're experiencing.
Oh, well, I mean, I feel like there's only one way you should feel it, and it's just like that is just ridiculous. Like this, we live in the 21st century, and we act like, oh, the police are there to protect us. Oh, everything's fine, but nothing's fine. Everything's just been ingrained, and we've all just become so used to it that it just doesn't make a difference anymore. Of like when someone gets shot and killed, or another person gets wrongfully arrested and stuff like that. It's just, for a lot of people, it's just like, oh, that's another thing. Like, oh, they made a mistake. That shouldn't be like that. And like a lot of things, like the cops and stuff, like it's really not, it shouldn't be this hard to solve an issue like this. Like, first of all, fire the cops that do end up committing these wrongful acts. And second of all, just reform. I know it's a lot harder said than done, but you can reform the police system. I can't find the word right. I don't know, just like the police system, and you can reform it. It's already been done. People in where was it? They reformed the police system in the town in where George Floyd was, their police system. They took it down and they reformed it, and so far that's been working so far, and so why can't we do that everywhere? And that's just like the start of it, I guess. And then you keep going to school systems, to the governmental systems, all those things like that, and eventually got to work your way up.
Can I ask Sam or Anaiyah if you have some feelings or some ideas about this whole situation too? Sam, do you have anything to add, or?
Yeah, I think although it's a privilege to see the silver linings of COVID, like just being able to see the silver linings is a privilege. But one of the silver linings that I've seen is it's given people so much more time to voice their opinions and to protest and to raise money and to share how they're feeling, that maybe they wouldn't have the time or the platform if there wasn't a worldwide pandemic going on and quarantines enacted. But it's really given time people to learn and to kind of sit down and educate themselves of history and of what they want for the future. So I think it's been really good to see people like Farah and see people, quite frankly, I feel like we're all sort of in this boat calling out racial injustices together. So it's kind of good seeing all of us being able to get together and talk about this type of stuff, even though we are in these circumstances.
Thanks, Sam. Anaiyah, do you have anything to add in this line of questioning and thinking about that?
For me, it kind of goes back to the what keeps you up at night and what worries you question, because my dad, his side is African American, and so sometimes I worry whether or not something's gonna happen, like especially right now, like whenever he goes out.
Oh man, that must be really tough to deal with. I guess a follow-up question to this is to ask, how do you cope with stress and tensions and worries? What's the best thing that you found for yourself? Anaiyah, can you tell us what's really good for you?
For me, it's more so listening to music, or it's really weird, Sudoku, math. People don't understand it but for me, it's so that way I can focus my mind to something else.
Stress relief.
Yeah.
Farah, what about you? What is comforting to you, or a way that you cope with some of the worries and stresses that you have?
I don't know. I just try to use it to, like, the stress and the worry and the anger and stuff like that. I just try to focus it onto trying to make change and like trying, because I have the power to be able to go out and do those things right now. So just focus on that and using those stresses to power that. I don't know. And I also like painting.
And Sam, I know you have not only these, but your family issues that with your mom's breast cancer. So are there things that are comforting to you, or that you deal with the stress and worry?
Just having friends and family, and I see Amelia's question about how we connect with our friends if we're not able to hang out in person. And just being able to talk to people, whether it's through text or just reconnecting through FaceTime with old friends, it's been really good to reconnect with those that I probably wouldn't be talking to. And I think that definitely helps me cope, just being able to talk to others and to just sort of, I don't know, be in their company, I guess.
Let's talk.
Even though we're not in person.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. What did you say?
Even though we're not in person together, it's still nice to just talk to somebody else and hear others' ideas and hear others' voices.
Yeah. Let's talk about faith for a minute. How has, or if it has been, a helpful resource for you? In what way has your faith either been a helpful resource for coping with things, or things that your faith has taught you about the pandemic or racial justice? Who wants to chime in on that one? Sam, we call on you're the oldest one. You're the elder statesman here.
But I've been starting all of these. I want to pass along my voice to others.
Okay, Farah, you want to jump in on that?
Oh no, I'm still thinking. I need to think of a response.
No? Okay. Anaiyah?
My faith, it really, I go back to thinking when we used to all meet with in our centers and have these meetings. And then I think it's not just one specific race that's there. It's a diverse race that's there, and you see a bit of everything, and it's like, wow. So it's not just one person that's able to join these meetings. It can be a diverse group, and it's comforting because there's no outliers that can't be a part of it.
Everybody, it's a place where everyone's included and everyone's together, and it's really diverse and inclusive, to use the key words that are important today. That's what you remember and you hang on to from your faith, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Sam, chime in. Uh-oh, can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
So I'd say, to be honest, it's not necessarily just Judaism that I've been thinking about. I've been using this kind of quarantine time to do more researching other faith traditions, other faith leaders. That's something that really interests me. And so I think just having the time to do this research has been good to kind of help me see more perspectives, which is something I'm constantly looking for.
Okay, I did want to ask a question, and maybe there isn't any comment on this, but has your faith been challenged in any way during all this? Have there been times, and you may not, this may be too personal, you might not want to share it, but have there been times when you've started questioning things with everything that's happening, with the pandemic, with what's happening in society? Anybody felt a challenge or a jolt?
There's a current hot topic going on regarding Israel and their annexation of Palestinian territories, and it's made me kind of want to do more research and want to speak out against it, because I really am not in favor of it, and that's been something that I've been having difficulty coping with.
Farah, or anything jump out for you?
I don't know. It's just, I don't feel super connected to my faith, especially during a time like this. Only because, like, well, a lot of the time going to the mosque was like, oh, like that's a big part of my faith. But now you can't go to the mosque, and like, I mean, that's fine because there's Zoom meetings and there's all those things, and like there's resources online, but like, you know, it's not the same all the time. But I mean, that's okay too. It's just, I don't know. It's just a lot of the bad things in the world that happen, especially for me, it's just like, come on, like, why does this have to happen? Like, God, you have all the power in the world. Why can't you just like solve it for us? But like, obviously that's not gonna happen. But like, I don't know. It's just things like that it's just like, it's so hard to watch. But like, I don't know. You just know in the back of your head that God's still there and He's watching over you, and then that everything in the end, hopefully, inshallah, will work out all right.
Mm-hmm. Anaiyah, do you have anything to share along those lines?
Not for this, no.
Okay. So I'm going to go to some of the questions in the chat box, because people have been asking questions right and left that they want to hear from you. The first question I have is for Farah, and it has to do with graduation. I mean, my goodness, that's such a significant milestone in your life. What did you feel like? Did you feel like she was deprived of something, or did you just roll with it because that's the way life goes?
Well, okay, for me, to be quite honest, I didn't love school. I mean, I loved high school. High school was fun and all, but I wasn't like, oh my God, like I'm gonna cry when I graduate. Because for me, I'm staying close by, and all the people I care about are also staying close by. So I'm gonna see most of the people I care about, and I know that I can go visit them at their colleges. And they'll come visit me here, and they'll come home and stuff like that. And so for me, graduating was more about leaving people. So I didn't get that much scared about that. but like graduating, like having no graduation, having an online graduation, and like not having prom, not having like grad night and stuff like that. That stuff was, I didn't think I would care about it as much, but like when it came down to it, it was just like now watching like movies, I'm like, oh, like I wish I was going to prom, like that'd be fun, but like I'm not crying over it. I'm not like, oh my god, like it's horrible, like we missed prom. Like there's like bigger things to worry about than prom, but like sure it would be fun to have prom, but like I don't know, it wasn't that big of a deal to me. I kind of just went on with it, but like it would be nice to have.
Wow, that's really amazing and impressive to know. I have a question for Anaiyah, and it has to do with an SGI performing group. And you mentioned that music is a way to de-stress. If you can't participate in your performing group or musical group during the pandemic, is that a problem for you or for any of your friends?
We haven't really gotten together as a group in a while, but you know, it's dates are passing by where it marks like a year since a certain performance or a couple months since a different performance, and I'm just like, wow, it's really like I miss it, and it's upsetting a bit not to be able to meet with all the friends that I had made in those groups, but a lot of them I still keep in contact, and I just make sure to give them a call every now and then or a text, just checking how they're doing. And I'm just ready for this pandemic to be over so that way I can get back into the performing groups. And
Yeah. How do you all feel about some of the things that are happening with the reopening? Is that just a complete relief to you, or is it something that causes you a little additional stress?
It's scary. I'm against it. It's causing additional stress.
So you're worried about what, having a second surge, or what is it,
Yeah.
Sam, that's stressful
I
about
think
it?
like the second surge is inevitable, and just the fact that like Disneyland and they're kind of pushing for these places to reopen rather than kind of listening to the medical experts and just kind of being cautious with it. Like they could be a little bit more cautious about it, and masks in Orange County. That was kind of ridiculous.
Mhm. Okay. So one of the questions was, how do you connect with your friends if you're not able to hang out in person? We've talked a little bit about it, but is there anything else that you could share about that? No. Okay, here's another question. Amelia asks specifically to Anaiyah, I think. She says, when she was in school, it was really important to her that she was learning something. So having to learn online, do you think it was much more challenging? And as such, do you feel that you learned as much as you would have if you were physically in school? Anaiyah, what do you think?
honestly, it was a lot more challenging than being physically in school because there's not a person there teaching you, and you're just reading based on websites and such. And it was really, I think that's the main part that stressed me. If I was physically in school, ending the year probably would have been a lot easier because I could have had somebody there to help me with what I needed. But with just reading off of what I saw on a screen, it was more difficult.
Thank you. You know, okay, let's go for some really big questions. There's one in the chat box that says, what is your vision for the society, for the U.S. society in the future? Oh, anyone want to tackle that?
Farah?
Okay. I haven't thought about this much, but I mean that much, but like I have thought about it, but like I don't know. I feel like it's really hard to envision a perfect future because there's no way everything's gonna be all perfect. Like it's impossible. But I don't know. I hope we have free health. What's it called? It starts with whatever. Free healthcare for everyone. I can't remember the specific word for it right now. Because especially with the pandemic, I hope it really will show people universal healthcare, that's the word, sorry. I really hope the pandemic will show people how important healthcare is and how much like your income, where you live, who you are affects how you get healthcare, and that it shouldn't be based on who you are, how you get, or how much money you make. Your healthcare. Healthcare should be a human right for everybody, and I hope that at least if anything, we at least have universal healthcare. And hopefully, abolish the police, reform the police systems too. But we're working on that one.
So, Sam, do you have anything you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, just probably going to echo some of her sentiments, piggyback off of what Farah was saying. Definitely more affordable housing would be nice. Just better job training in general for all jobs, and just better education as it is. And then mental health services is a big one. So probably a combination of those, having more money and having more resources would be a good start.
Mm-hmm. And Anaiyah, do you have anything you wanted to add to?
No, not for this.
Okay.
And substance abuse treatment, that's a big one too.
Okay, here's a related question. It has to do with the future. So if you imagine yourself 10 years from now, how do you think you'll remember this time? And how do you imagine your life would be 10 years from now? 10 years seems like a long time to you, I'm sure. But when you look back on this, how do you think you'll remember this? Or where do you think you'll be, and what will you be doing? What do you hope your life will be like? Come on, Sam, jump in.
I can't even wrap my head around it, like trying to think of how I'm going to explain to like my children of the time that was going on and like what things were like. It's going to be quite wild, but I don't know. Hopefully I've grown and I've been more introspective, and it's given me time to reflect, and that's what I'll think looking back at the situation.
Farah, do you have something to add?
I hope in 10 years, well, obviously I hope we're in a better world. I don't know, when I tell my kids about this, I don't really know, because even right now, all the days are blending together. I don't know what day it is today. I don't know what time it is, what month. I don't know anything. It's all blended together. And so I'm just going to be like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people had time to themselves, but a lot of people had hard times, and a lot of people, hopefully if we're alive in 10 years, that means we made it. And so we made it, and that's the important part. And yeah, that's what I'll tell them.
Thank you. Anaiyah, what do you think? How will you remember all this time 10 years from now? Or what do you think you'll be doing then?
I'm hoping college is, I'll be in my early 20s. And so I think kind of what Farah said, I'm just going to be glad that I made it through this time.
Yeah, well, we want to make it through. That's important. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you one last question to the three of you, but in the meantime, I will open it up to some of the other young folks that are with us. And I say young folks as if all the rest of us are old folks. But think about this for a minute, and then we'll come back to you. So here's my last question for the three of you. What message would you want to send to the older generations or to our current leadership? Is there something that you would really like to get across and send them a message about? So meanwhile, I'm going to ask if any of the other people in the conversation today would like to reflect on some of the things we've been talking about. Just raise your hand, either wave or Rihanna. Let's hear from Rihanna.
Hi, I'm Rihanna Roy, and I'm of the Hindu faith, and I'm 15 years old, so similar age to Anaiyah. And as I've been listening, I feel like I've been having really similar experiences to the other three speakers. because especially in high school, it's such a different experience to be learning online all of a sudden. And like, I really agreed with what Anaiyah had to say about how it's like so different from not having an actual person there to talk to you. And I feel like that's had a big effect on not just me and but like also all my classmates, because there was so much less communication between the teachers and the students that it made it harder for all of us to do the best that we usually could have done in our classes.
Thank you, Rihanna, for sharing that. Okay, anyone else want to chime in? And Cheryl, if you see a hand that I don't see. Oh, Jim Barrett. Okay, Jim, can you unmute yourself? Oh, can't hear you. Maybe Cheryl could unmute you. There you go.
Farah, you mentioned that you went to a protest. Could you describe your feelings and what happened there? And how did you participate?
Okay, so I've been to a couple of them, but the one that I mostly like, that stood out in my mind the most was I went to one in downtown LA. Like the second one that happened down there, like where one of the police cars was caught on fire. But for that one specifically, I remember I was like all the way at the front, not exactly in the front, but like I was pretty close to the front. And so I could see all the things that were happening as they were happening. And it was really interesting to see that and then go home and watch it on the media and see how the media twisted the entire thing. Like, when in the one where the police car got blown up, they made it seem like people, and they started throwing tear gas, rubber bullets, all of that stuff. And they defended themselves by saying, oh, the crowds they were rioting, they were looting, they were throwing things at us, they were shouting, like they were being violent. Literally, I saw it from the beginning, and literally all that happened was people threw water bottles. And obviously you shouldn't, obviously that is technically violent, and it's not, that does not, throwing a water bottle and having the result have tear gas and rubber bullets being shot at you, that shouldn't equal each other. Yeah, you shouldn't have thrown the water bottle, but with the anger of these people, their community is getting killed. You have to understand their anger a little bit. And so it was just really interesting to just watch all those things and be there and see these people, all of these people firsthand. There's a guy in front of me who got shot with a rubber bullet, and he had a whole thing on his shoulder. And then my friends were up front because they all bring their cameras and stuff so they can go to the front and videotape it all. And they were getting all the people graffitiing on the cop cars, which obviously, once again, you probably shouldn't do. But it's not they were making it seem like everyone was being violent. To me, the cops were the ones being extremely violent. And to me, the protesters were being violent, but not to the same extent that the cops are being violent back to the crowds. The people were riding on cars, riding on windows, breaking glass, things like that. And although that is violent, it's not as violent as throwing tear gas and rubber bullets at children and dogs in the crowds too. There were literally children in these crowds and they were throwing tear gas. And to me, when I was there, it was really interesting because I felt so safe. No matter where I was, I could get lost from my group of friends. I would feel fine with the crowd. Everyone I knew I could practically trust anyone in that crowd, ask them for help, be like, hey, can I get water? Hey, can I get anything? And they would help me. But everyone else, the only people I ever felt fear from was when I was up front of the cops, because I literally was sitting there and they had the rubber guns pointed at us, and everyone was literally on their knees and they wouldn't move their guns. They kept them pointed at us, and I just thought that was ridiculous.
Wow, what an experience. What an amazing experience. I think you're going to remember that and have some stories to tell to you now. Someone told me that Fisa, did I pronounce your name correctly, that you would like to share some things with us, please?
Hi, my name's Fisa and I'm 15 years old. And I've been to three protests, but they were pretty peaceful. I didn't go to the ones in LA and stuff because you have to care about your safety too. So I went to the ones at Trump Course in PV and Palos Verdes, and those ones were really, really peaceful and there wasn't really any like gunshots or anything like that. And people were just standing in front of the police and just protesting. So,
Can I ask if
And the-
anybody got any positive response? Any of the police that were any of the protests? Was there anyone that
the
in the
police
group that
weren't
reached
really
out to the
doing
protesters?
the police weren't really doing anything. They were just like standing there and not, they were just, but the media, I feel like, shows a bunch of like protests that are very violent and stuff and not really the peaceful ones. And that's what I don't really like about like how today's world is like that.
I see.
Okay, let's go back to that question that I posed and see if there's anyone who's come up with something that they'd really like to share as a message to other generations or a message to our current leaders. Let's start with Sam. I'll start with you again, Sam. Do you have anything that you want to make sure gets heard?
Yeah, I feel like we just want people to listen and just really sit down and have an open mind, an open heart, and just really listen to what these people are saying. And, you know, we've been fighting for racial justice for everywhere for hundreds of years. So hopefully, you know, hopefully they listen and we get somewhere. But I think we just want them to listen and really take into consideration, you know, our feelings, our future, that type of thing.
Anaiyah, anything you wanted to add to that?
I feel people should be communicating more and checking in, making sure that everybody they know are safe and that they're, like, you know, especially right now, healthy. And just communication is key, especially right now.
Thank you. Farah, is there anything you want to add to what you've said or to what the other folks have said about this, or messages you want to make sure you get across?
Well, is there any way, can I ever respond to what Fiza said?
Sure.
Like, can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say something because, like, you were saying how a lot of the protests were, like, a lot of the media was depicting them as violent, and yes, some of them were, but I just wanted to make it, like, super clear that all of the protests, like, every single one, like, I promise you, every single one, no protest starts off violent. Everyone was peaceful, and there's been accounts of police, like, even the protests that I went to, not in downtown LA, but ones just around the valley and stuff like that, they would put, like, piles of bricks there, and they would, like, things like that, because they want people to start getting violent, because then that gives the police, that allows them to start making arrests and getting everyone off the street. And so the police actually push for this violence from the people too. And so I don't know, that's just important. I just wanted, a lot of people don't know that, and I just want people to know that.
Yeah. I don't see, no, like the people are not violent. They do not start the violence. It's the police that start the violence. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I know the people do not start it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question that came in the chat box that I think is a really good one. And this is especially for Farah and Anaiyah. It says, let's just suppose that we encounter a pandemic 2.0, God forbid. But what things can the schools do better to make sure that kids can still learn from home? Do you have any advice? Either one of you? Can you think of ways, if you were a teacher, what could you do that would be creative, or that would be, that you wish your teachers were doing that would help you? Anything that you can think of?
I feel like for me, I felt like the teachers just forgot that the students had lives themselves, and they would just pile on a bunch of work. Like, even my teachers, we're seniors, we're graduating, we're not going to do the work you give us either ways, even if we were in school. And they didn't care, and they just kept giving us work and and it wasn't even actual work, it was all busy work. Like, every ounce of it was busy work. None of it had any purpose to it. And obviously the teachers also have their lives and they're busy. But it's just important to remember that students also have their lives and they're going through things at home. People's families people didn't have jobs. People did have jobs. They had to go to their jobs because they were the only ones in their family with jobs. And they still had to go back, and their teachers were like, oh, you didn't do the 20 study questions that I assigned you 3 days ago. And so you're failing your class now. Like, they just need to, I don't know, remember.
So seek out meaning, make sure that it's worthwhile, make sure that your time and their time and everyone's time is really meaningfully and valuably spent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Anaiyah or Sam, on that?
I think like with the Google Meet calls and the Zoom calls, I think those are really helpful because you have the teacher not physically there, but you know, there to help you and explain the work in case you can't figure it out on your own.
Wow. You know, I have to tell you one last thing, and that is that for me personally, and I know for a lot of other people in my generation, the brightest light sometimes and the most hopeful thing for me to think about is your generation and what you're going to do to make the world a better place, to help each other, to reach out, to take care of each other, and to be there, and to make a difference. I see so many of you doing those things now, and it just gives me hope for the future. So please keep that up. And I can't thank you enough for coming and being a part of this today. All of you who are on this call, and especially our courageous youth who didn't mind speaking out and telling us what they really think. So let's wrap up and have a final word, and we'll let you know a little bit about next week's program if we can. Carol, would you like to? Oh, wait, I have a hand. Sarah, do you want to say something, or is that just an applause?
I was just applauding. And again, I've thoroughly enjoyed hearing from our young people today. I really appreciate them sharing. They have a lot of wisdom for where we need to go as a community. So I thank you guys.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. Cheryl, would you like to share something about the next time? And Anaiyah, would you like to tell us about next week's program a little bit?
Sure. So, you know, one of the things we try to do with these courageous conversations is obviously address issues that people are facing or going through. So today, you know, we talked about the youth, which we thought was important. But there's kind of another sector of the youth, which are the little ones, you know, in terms of, I have and this kind of stems from a personal experience. I have a 17-month-old, and in the trajectory from late February until now, she's been at home. You know, she's just been not sitting, I mean, she's plenty busy, but, you know, she hasn't had physical contact with other people and her nieces and nephews and their cousins and stuff like that. So we really wanted to talk about what impact, if any, is the pandemic having on like our toddlers and our young adolescents. You know, obviously this is not a normal quote unquote time or a phenomenon that any one of us have gone through in our lifetimes. And so we actually have the director of mental health from the Pediatric Therapy Network who will be coming and speaking to us and specifically addressing about the pandemic and its effect and on, you know, often the little ones who can't necessarily express how they're feeling, but they're certainly feeling the ramifications of what we're going through right now. So we hope that you'll join us for that. It's next Friday, the 26th of June at 3 p.m.
Thank you, Anaiyah. And we do hope that these are nourishing and provoking and inspirational programs. So just please join us and RSVP to Cheryl to make sure you get the right information. And then last but not least, we want to let you know about the center and what the council and what we're doing. We would definitely appreciate your support during these challenging times, because it's your generosity that lets us keep these programs going. And if you have suggestions, please let us know. If you can support us financially, go to the website and donate. And we'll definitely look for you next week at 3 o'clock. So thank you everyone for being a part of this. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Anaiyah. Thank you, Farah. Thank you, everybody. Stay in touch.
See you next week.